Hello friends, family and anybody interested in our project. This video is a bit different than the others we've made because I want to get in a bit more into detail about the water situation that we have concerning our lands and the surrounding area. We just got back from a week of work on our lands on Crete, and besides visiting with friends, we had a meeting with our architects. We also got some paperwork done for our building permit, and we planted 6 trees on our land. We had a contractor come to visit our lands to get a quote for building a water tank on our lands of either 30 cubic meters or 50 cubic meters. And we visited the water company to ask about the progression on the new water pipe that we would connect to. As soon as we walked into the water company, the guy recognized us and started saying, "Oh, now it's only a few days left for us to complete the new pipe line that you can connect to. It should have been ready about a year ago, but never mind." Let me see. Oh yeah, when we bought the lands, the owner of the lands had told us that we could connect to the old water pipe, which is about 300 meters away from our land, but it would have just enough water pressure to reach the lower part of our land. And he told us that a new water pipe was going to be built that could provide us with water with higher pressure. Before we bought the land, we went to the water company to make sure and to ask them whether or not we could connect to the water. They assured us that this would not be a problem, and we're saying actually the same thing that the owner was saying: either connect to the old water pipe with little pressure, or wait for the new water pipe and connect with more pressure. Since then, we've visited the water company 3 times to ask what the situation on the new pipe was, and every time it was yes, a little bit more, be patient, hypomony. And whenever we would visit the water company and ask for more specifics about the whole water situation in our area, they would refer us to the engineer. We tried to call the engineer several times, but we could never reach him. Now that we were in the office, the engineer was there, so we kind of forced ourselves upon him, since he made clear that he didn't really have time for us. But we persisted, and when he finally took the time to answer our questions, He told us that it would not be possible to connect to either the new water pipe or the old water pipe because of too low pressure. This was quite a shock for us and made me personally a bit sad and angry and all kinds of emotions. The engineer was visibly angry at his colleague who had promised us water from the new pipe. The good thing was that the engineer now felt a bit responsible to come up with a solution and showed us what the situation is with the water, and also thought of a possible solution. One thing is for sure, a pump needs to be placed somewhere in the system to pump up water to our land so that we would have enough pressure. To show you what I believe the situation to be, according to the engineer, I made a drawing to explain it a bit more in detail. So the situation is as follows. Our land is on a hill surrounded by a valley all around. The hill is about 280 meters high. On the south side of the hill is the village, Kaina, which is probably at about 200 meters high. The water supply comes from a water source in the valley, from a village called Armeni. From there it's pumped up the mountain, the hill, to a water storage facility, water tank, at the elevation of 274 meters. The old situation was that a pipeline would run down on the north side of the hill to the village. The problem with this old pipeline is that it is old and there were constantly leakages along the way, and also many farmers taking water from this old water pipe, which made that there was sometimes even 10 days of no water in the village. So what they're doing now, they're building a new pipeline from the water storage facility to the village, which is way shorter, so less chance of problems. And we were supposed to connect to this new pipeline somewhere about here to our land. But since the water tank, the water storage facility, is at 274 meters high and our land is 270 meters high. This 4 meters difference doesn't generate enough pressure through gravity to supply us with water. So now there's two options. We could connect to the old water pipe, put a engine run pump next to the water connection and pump the water to our land, to a water tank on our land. But this would mean that every time we need water, we would have to go to this engine run pump, turn it on, and after a few hours turn it off again. It would also be on the main road, our main road, which is a dirt road, which means that it can easily be stolen. The engineer we talked with came up with the following solution. Since a pump needs electricity, we need a point at the pipeline with electricity. So this could either be in the village, but another solution would be that the old pipeline runs through an old water storage facility, which is not being used at the moment, but the water is running through there, and there is electricity there. So his idea was that they would put a pump in this water facility, and we would have to bring a pipe from that facility on the main road to our land. Now, normally we would also have to get a pipe from the new pipeline to us, but this pipe would be 33 millimeters. And now the water company wants us to put a pipe of about 60 millimeters, so that in the future also other people can connect to this water pipe, which seems logical. But we have to pay for this pipe because they don't have a budget apparently. Another thing is that they want this pipe to be in the ground, which is not always the case in Greece or on Crete. They want it in the ground so nobody can steal water from this pipe. On top of that, and we would have to pay for the digging, and this is not going to be cheap since it's very rocky ground, and the facility is about, I guess, 700 meters away from our land. So this would cost us about at least 1,000 euros for a pipe, and at least 1,000 euros for putting it in the ground. We would also need to put a tank on our land because this pump cannot run all the time. So the pump will fill up our tanks and turn off. Because this pump is using electricity, they also want us to pay a higher price per cubic meter to compensate for the electricity use. So, is that clear? So water comes in from the valley to a huge tank. This tank provides our village and other villages water through gravity. Used to be a long pipe to the village. Now a new pipe is coming. We cannot connect to the new pipe because of low pressure, and we cannot connect to the old pipe because of low pressure. So we need to put a pump somewhere. And by the end of this week, we hope to hear whether it is possible to connect with a pump from the old water facility. I hope I make myself clear with this mumbling. Now I will show some real life footage of what it looks like in reality. So this is the old Dexamani, the old water tank, and apparently there should still be water running through the pipe, but the water is not stored in the tank. And now it's starting to rain. But there is electricity, so we could attach a pump in this building. So this is our neighbor's land. He's got 2 tanks. Looks like one 2000 and one 1500 liters. And he fills it up. Our land is like a little bit up there. 3 plots down. And then by gravity he feeds all his olive trees. And the water is brought in from the connection point down this road, which is 300 meters away from our land and 20 meters lower than our land. And what he has done, he has put a pump there. I'll show you in a bit. So this is still our neighbor's land with the tanks up there. This is the end of his land with a water pipe connecting to the main grid, which is down here. So this would be a connection point.